Last time on MangaKamen Z.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
Hey guys, it's the Metalman 5, and welcome to my response to Reliance. I don't care how I pronounce his name.
You'll never find me! I have the power of invisibility!
Irony!
Shut up! Welcome back, part 2, let's go on. Yes, I know we put up a new version of it, but we're still covering this. I already worked on the script, I'm editing it, let's just do this, go, go, go! Also, I'm skipping most of the Unown segment, save for one little point, mainly because, frankly, it was too much of a headache for me to go through. Okay, let's do it. Leroy! Ah!
Next up, he criticizes me for not mentioning people who thought Unown would be powerful based on the third movie. Well, since this is apparently such a massive problem, Tricky Wee and Tamashi Hiroka did a list of their top 10 most disappointing Pokemon. Unown was on the list, and the reason was because they thought it would be powerful from seeing the third movie, and even some people in the comments said the same thing. Are you happy now?
I'm never happy. First off, when you make references to other people's opinions, if you can provide an example of someone actually saying this, then would have only strengthened your case. And on another note, this should have been in your original video, since it would have helped backed up your points, and Realm wouldn't have made this point at all. I know hindsight's 20/20, but it's still something you gotta consider when you're making a video and you bring up other people's opinions. Secondly, you're blowing this way out of proportion because he didn't even make it a full interjection. It was a side note when he was doing over your video. Thirdly, those two Poketubers video was made in December 2015. Over a year ago when your video came out. If it was a more recent video that was more well known through the community, then I could understand it, but this is an older video. And finally, if you had an example, why not put the original video's description and label it people who agree with me on Unown's disappointment? Or hell, even put like an annotation.
Getting to Alomomola, he says my point on it and Luvdisc looking similar is wrong, because there are animals in the real world that look similar, but are different species. This is Pokemon, not the real world. Alomomola is the only case of a Pokemon looking so similar to another, but it having absolutely no connection.
No, he never said you were wrong. You said, "Oi, play that clip."
They are completely separate species of Pokemon. I have no clue what was going through Game Freak's head when they decided to make this a separate Pokemon.
Well, yeah, kind of like real life. There's a number of animals that have similar features to other animals, even looking remarkably similar to each other, but they're two completely different species. That's why we have so many different kinds of snakes and canines and cats in the world. They share similar anatomy with each other, but there's something within their grouping that makes them a different species.
You said, I have no idea what was going through Game Freak's head when they decided to make this a separate Pokemon. And he was responding because they wanted to emulate real life because there are a number of other Pokemon that hold similar traits to each other, but aren't actually related. Of course, I can think of a better reason, because it was Generation 5. You know what Generation 5 had done? They had created a whole new Pokedex with 156 new Pokemon. The highest number of original Pokemon that have been introduced in the single generation. And you want to know why they did that? Because they wanted a fresh start. Hell, Nintendo themselves stated that no old Pokemon would be available in the games until the main storyline had been completed. So if you could breed a Luvdisc, or if Alomomola had a previous pre-evolution from another generation, that'd kinda go against everything that they were doing for Generation 5. Also, it's the only case, bull! And I mean that literally. I can make a really strong case for Tauros and Buffalont, both of which are quadrupeds, have horns, have similar color schemes. Heck, I even showed my dad, who knows next to nothing about Pokemon, save for the fact that his son is a fan of the series, and he thought they had a connection. And don't give me the, well, it's not like Tauros could evolve into a different species, except we have Pokemon that turn to completely different species when they evolve too. Feebas goes from a fish to a water snake from Atlantic, Dragonite goes from a serpent dragon to a western-style dragon, Dragonite, and we have Remoraid who turns into an octopus. Need I go on? My bat!
He uses examples such as Caterpie and Movepool to explain similar-looking Pokemon, but they don't look similar at all. Caterpie is green with a large round head, while Movepool is red with a slimmer head and spiny back. What were you trying to convey here?
They share similar anatomy with each other, but there's something within their grouping that makes them a different species. An abundance of Pokemon that have similar anatomy, but are considered different Pokemon. Just look at Caterpie and Wormhole. They're both based on caterpillars, but they're still two completely separate Pokemon.
He said similar anatomy. You're taking him out of context.
When getting to Alomomola's stats, he says my point of me taking it down in 1 or 2 hits is wrong because of the fact that its defense stats are low. I always saw HP as being like a defense stat, since it shows how much damage you need to do in order to take it out. And I think that its high HP being less notable still kind of stands, since it doesn't perform the function of the HP stat very well. You mentioned Snorlax and Chansey's special defenses, but I've even had trouble taking them on with physical moves from my own experience.
No, he's not saying you're wrong, he's explaining why it's going down easy for you.
Well, yeah, if you look at its stats, and you even mentioning its only noteworthy stat is health, if it doesn't have the defense to support the large health stat, then of course it's going to go down easy. It's not like Snorlax where, yeah, its base health is really high, but the reason it feels it takes so long to take it down is because of its special bulk. Same goes for Chansey. Stupidly high health, and quite a bit of special defense. So with Alomomola lacking any kind of bulk, then yeah, it's going to go down easy.
He's not saying you're wrong, he's talking about why you felt it was so easy to beat. He never said you were wrong in that aspect!
Moving to Alomomola's Movepool, he tells me that I should just use it for double battles. Except the vast majority of battles in Pokemon games are single battles. I know this VGC, but I'm not a competitive player, and this list was supposed to be more of a general view of each Pokemon, covering their uses in all forms of battles.
You're also forgetting online battles, and that's not just for double battles, but for triple battles too. Yes, you can play solo online, but if Alomola's role is a supporter, then why not use it for battles that you know you can use more than just one Pokemon on the field at a time?
And on the subject of Movepool, we get to a recurring trend in this video. From this point on, up until Incineroar, he slams me for not mentioning moves that these Pokemon can learn through TM, breeding, and tutors. There's a reason why I didn't mention them, being that you have to go out of your way to teach them those moves. For TMs, you need the actual TM. For breeding, you need to hatch from an egg with the proper parent to get the right move, and for tutors, you need to find the move tutor and have the proper item to teach them the move in the first place. I thought that from my wording during these sections, such as the moves it naturally learns, and especially from saying you're going to have to rely on TMs to get this thing good type coverage when going over Beware, would have shown this, but since you were possibly half asleep when watching my video, you didn't catch that.
I'm guessing that it's supposed to be more of a support Pokemon since it learns a lot of status moves, however, a lot of these moves don't really benefit it, and some can only be used in double battles. Plus, despite having a higher physical attack stat, Alomomola's better, stronger moves that it learns through leveling up are special attacks, which aren't going to do that much damage due to its 40 base special attack.
Being a bit of a nitpick here, you never said naturally for Alomomola, but you did say moves to level up, yes. So I'll say yeah, Realm did jump a bit here, but I can't blame Realm here either because you said all of its move pool at the beginning. So it's kind of a roundabout way since TMs do cover that quickly. But you want to know something that shoots your argument in the foot? Realm brings up HMs, which most of the time are mandatory to acquire in the games, save for Sun and Moon. Waterfall being one of the HMs you get during the course of the story. And as an example of a turn, you either get it as a gift, or you can buy it at a store. That's really going out of your way. Hell, in Sun and Moon, the store is at a Pokemon Center, and if that's considered out of the way, then yikes, I feel bad for Pokemon and your team. In addition, before Sun and Moon, you could really get good TMs like Aerial Ace from beating gym leaders, and that's not out of the way either. Maybe if TMs weren't one at a time use, I could give you this, but they haven't been ever since Generation 5. Another reason why Gen 5 is the best. Thank you very much.
Besides, there are other YouTubers who criticize Pokemon for having to rely on TMs for moves. For example, in Sugar Conroy's Pokemon Platinum LP, there were some Pokemon he said weren't good, partially because they needed TMs to learn good moves. So why is it okay for him to do it, but not me?
I mean, Realm never brought up Chugga Conroy in his video at all. I'd argue it's kind of a stupid argument for Chugga to make since a lot, and I mean a lot of Pokemon have a lot less viability if they just rely on moves they learned via level up. Let's take my favorite Pokemon for example, Bisharp. Bisharp on its own can only learn Bug, Normal, Steel, and Dark type moves leveling up. However, with TMs, Bisharp can learn Rock, Flying, Fighting, Ghost, Grass, Poison, and even a couple of status moves. But if you want another example, let's go with Blastoise, whose only damaging move pool consists of Water, Normal, and one Dark type attack via level up. But open up TMs and you get a lot more coverage. I honestly think this is a stupid complaint, since if you're ignoring something that can make up for a lack of natural coverage, that's not a bad move, then that's a bad move as a trainer in playing the game.
You could argue that I didn't make my reasoning clear enough, but the fact that you didn't even consider this possibility is what pisses me off the most.
Oh, you understood that? Not a word.
So there goes about half of the complaints that you bring up just gone.
So you're getting on his case for not considering something that you yourself could have made clearer. I mean, there's a reason why people often say they're covering at the beginning of their lists. And more often than not, when people refer to a move pool, they refer to every move that a Pokemon has access to, not just through leveling up. I mean, you explained in detail why you're only counting Final Evolution, so why not explain a little bit more at the beginning when you say move pools? I really can't blame Realm here either, because you said all of its move pool too.